Could it be said that a person who intentionally neglects the Sunnah, would that person be punished in the hereafter?
Before I reply to your question, I would like to clarify certain points. As far as the actions and deeds of any Muslim is concerned, they're broadly divided into two categories. One is halal and the other is haram. Halal is the permissible category, haram is the forbidden, prohibited category. Furthermore, the halal category is further divided into four subcategories. The first is the fard, which is obligatory, which is compulsory. Second is the mustahab, the things which are encouraged in Islam. Third is the mubah, the things which are optional in Islam. The fourth is the makruh, the things which are discouraged in Islam or detestable. So in all, there are five categories. Number one is fard, which is obligatory and compulsory. Number two is the mustahab, things which are encouraged. The third is the mubah, things which are optional. Fourth is makruh, things which are discouraged or detestable in Islam. And fifth is haram, things which are forbidden and prohibited. Now, if a person does an act of fard, an compulsory act, he gets a reward. That is, he gets positive points. If a person does not do a fard thing, he gets a punishment, he gets negative points. As far as the second category is concerned, that is mustahab, if a person does a mustahab act, he gets a reward, he gets a positive point. But a person who does not do a mustahab act, he gets no punishment, he gets no negative points. The third category, that is mubah, optional, whether a person does the mubah, optional act or not, or does not do an optional act, he gets no positive, no negative points. He gets no reward, he gets no punishment. It's absolutely neutral, it's optional. The fourth category is the makruh, the discouraged or detestable. If a person abstains from things which are makruh, he gets a positive point, he gets a reward. And if a person does the makruh thing, he gets no punishment, he gets no negative point. As far as the last fifth category is concerned, that is haram, that's prohibited. If a person abstains from doing the haram thing, then he gets a positive point, he gets a reward. If he does the haram act, he gets a punishment, he gets negative points. So these are in brief as far as the five categories are concerned. Now coming to the question of sunnah. Sunnah are of two types. One is the lugwi sunnah, that is the literal meaning of sunnah, that is the sayings, the actions and the approval of the Prophet. So as far as the lugwi, that is the literal meaning of sunnah is concerned, it can fall in the first four categories. It can either be a sunnah which is fard, a sunnah which is mustab, a sunnah which can be mubah, or a sunnah which is makruh. So the lugwi sunnah, the literal sunnah, can fall under any four categories. For example, sunnah falling in the first category is Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam prayed the Fajr Salah, he prayed the Zuhr Salah, he prayed all the five prescribed Salah. That way, the actions of the Prophet and also saying of the Prophet, but it falls in the first category. The example of the mustahab sunnah is the Prophet, he prayed the 2 rakat sunnah before the Fajr Salah. It's not a first to pray 2 rakat sunnah before Fajr, but it is mustahab. It is encouraged. This is the second category. The third category of mubah will be Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had long hair. It was optional. So anyone who has long hair, it's optional. It is permissible. The example of the fourth category, makruh. People think that can the Prophet do something which is makruh? And they may be shocked. What is Zakir speaking? Prophet? Sunnah of the Prophet which is makruh? I'll give you an example. The hadith saying that Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said that do not drink while standing. So drinking and standing is makruh. Fine. So the right mustahab is to sit and drink. But the hadith also saying that the Prophet, he stood and he drank water. Maybe there was a reason, there was a requirement. So standing and drinking is makruh, sitting and drinking is mustahab. Standing and drinking is discouraged, sitting and drinking is encouraged. So there are times, in case of necessity, when the requirement is there, the Prophet did do sometimes things which are makruh. So this will fall under the category of sunnah, which is makruh, in the lugwi sense, not in the fiqhi sense. I'll come to it later on. Otherwise people will say, what is Zakir saying that is sunnah means doing makruh? No, it is not. Lugwi, yes, it can be. Because the Prophet did it. He stood and drank water. But normally, most of the times, almost all the times, he sat and he drank. So there are times of necessity. But since a person does makruh, he will get no negative points, no punishment. And the Prophet didn't get punishment. But neither will he get any reward. So this was, in brief, talking about the lugwi sunnah. That is the literal definition of sunnah. It can fall under any four categories: fard, mustahab, mubah or makruh. Now coming to the second category of sunnah, that is the fiqhi sunnah, which we normally, when we talk about sunnah, it's taken for granted it is the fiqhi sunnah. That is sunnah in fiqh and usul, when we talk about sunnah. So this basically is the second category of mustahab. When we say that you pray the 2 rakat sunnah before fajr, it is sunnah of the Prophet. It is sunnah of the Prophet to sit and drink water. When they say this sunnah, it is talking about the sunnah of fiqh. It indicates the word mustahab. So normally in day-to-day life, when we Muslims say it is sunnah to do this and sunnah to do that, most of the times, almost all, when they use the word it is sunnah of the Prophet to sit and drink, it is sunnah of the Prophet to pray 2 rakat sunnah before the fajr salah, it is sunnah of the Prophet to read 2 rakat tahiyatul masjid when we enter the mosque. All these mainly come under the category of mustahab. So the fiqhi sunnah is mustahab, things which are encouraged. And in all these 5 categories of fard, mustahab, mubah, makruh, and in haram, there are subcategories. Like as we discussed last time, sins, major sins, minor sins. So in haram, things, there are haram which are major, haram which are minor. Same thing, makruh, which are less makruh, some are more makruh. Mubah, fine. The Prophet kept long hair, it's mubah, optional. But if someone does that optional thing for the love of the Prophet, yet he'll get sawab. Though it's optional, no punishment, no reward. But if you're doing for the love of the Prophet, then for that you'll get. Again, so there's optional things which the Prophet did that carry more weight than optional things which the Prophet did not do. Furthermore, in mustahab, there is sunnat-e muakkada, sunnat-e ghair muakkada. Sunnat-e muakkada means a more important sunnah. The 2 sunnah before the fajr salah is sunnat-e muakkada. It's a more important sunnah than the other sunnah. So sunnat-e muakkada, sunnat-e ghair muakkada. Same thing in the faraiz, in the first thing. There are some which are more important, some which are less important. For example, the 5 pillars of Islam. Number 1 is Tawheed, which is the fard, offering salah, fasting the month of Ramadan, doing hajj if you can do, giving zakat. All these are more important faraiz. And abstaining from major sin, this itself already discussed 70 comes in major faraiz. Then there will be less faraiz. So in all these categories, there are subcategories. But coming to a basic question, that will we be punished if we intentionally do not do the sunnah of the Prophet? Now this sunnah you're talking about, I assume, it is the fiqhi sunnah. If it's the lugwi sunnah, I've already given the answer, the first 4 categories. Fiqhi sunnah means it falls in the category of mustahab, which I already discussed earlier, that if you do a mustahab act, that is the fiqhi sunnah, you will get reward for it, you will get blessings for it. If it's sunnat-e muakkada, then more blessings. As compared to sunnat-e ghair muakkada, that also will get blessings, but less. But if a person does not do it intentionally or unintentionally, he will not be punished for that. But that does not mean because we will not get punishment for not doing the sunnah, we should abstain from doing it. Because we human beings, we make so many mistakes. We do so many faults. We involved in so many sins. These sunnah, when we do, we get additional points. We get rewards. This will help us in fulfilling the lacuna which is there in other faults. What the other faults we do, it helps in covering up our faults, some of our sins. So therefore, a Muslim should do as much as sunnah as possible. Just because he will not get a punishment, that doesn't mean that he should not do it. In fact, he should try and do as much as sunnah, lugwi sunnah, mustahab acts, so that it will help him to cover up the other faults which human beings do. And it will help him to go to Jannah.